What is up, guys? What is up? And welcome back to the daily series of Nwadei MMA, where I give you guys my thoughts, but more importantly, ask for yours, because you guys are the MMA community, as I bring you guys MMA news from all around the world, whether it's One Championship, Bellator, PFL, UFC. We talk about it all. We give our in-depth fight analysis, we give breakdown videos, fight reactions, predictions, and so much more. So guys, it's whatever you need, it's whatever you want. Comment down below what you guys want from my channel after looking through maybe some of my past videos, and I'll go ahead and get that done for you. But of course, today we all know why you guys are stopping by. The PFL is making big MMA community moves in trying to buy Bellator. Guys, what does this mean for the UFC? What does this mean for One Championship, who is moving to US soil? You will be finding out all of that and more in this video. However, first, please go ahead and smash that like button. You know, give it a 1, 2, 3 for me. You know, I think that'll help. If you could like it 3 times if possible, you know, yeah. And you're more than welcome to subscribe and join the family for more daily MMA content and in-depth fight analysis. With that being said, let's get into what this means for MMA. Alright guys, so like I said, the PFL owner is trying to purchase Bellator MMA, and they're trying to expand on US soil. Now, there's a lot of things going on in the MMA world right now. A lot of competition, a lot of monopoly changes, so to speak. You know, in 1993 all the way up until 2005 in the US, look, all we really knew about was the UFC, right? We knew about UFC, and then Pride started making its way, and then WEC, Strikeforce started making its way, but the UFC just bought all of that up. Pride was ran by the Japanese. Obviously there were some complications in buying that up. I think some of us know, you know, they played a little ploy on the UFC. UFC lost a lot of money out of that, but they got some of the fighters and whatnot, and they got the Pride off of the market, so that's all that mattered to them. However, the reason Pride was so big is because they did things right. They did things the right way. They did things based off of Japanese or Eastern culture, Asian culture. And if we all remember, mixed martial arts kind of started over there in Asia, right? With the Japanese, with the Chinese, all of them were first. And I believe that that's part of the reason why One Championship is doing so well now, and why One Championship is making its way to the US. And by the way, guys, One Championship is not going to get bought out by the UFC. That's just not going to happen. So
would one ever be up for sale? Would you ever, you know?
Never.
You would never consider selling it?
Never.
Someone comes to you with a $9 billion deal like WWE?
Never.
Yes, we're seeing a lot of competition in these MMA promotions. We're seeing even local MMA promotions come up and start making a name for themselves. World Series of Fighting is the PFL now. PFL is now giving champions millions of dollars per year. And there's more than one promotion to where you can make a living as a fighter nowadays. And so all of this, to me, as an upcoming fighter, is very important. All of this is good news, right? And for upcoming fighters as well, other upcoming fighters, and for all of you fans as well, because y'all are gonna see so much different competition in so many different organizations, and it's gonna just be a plethora of solid talent, and which means the level's only gonna get higher, right? So that's one thing that it means for MMA, right? The level's gonna get higher. But let's talk more specifically about the PFL purchasing Bellator. Bellator is the second biggest MMA promotion on US soil, so in the USA, right? Obviously UFC is #1. UFC is also #1 internationally as well. However, One Championship, I believe, is #2 internationally. And by the way, guys, we are going to come up with a video comparing One Championship with the UFC if you guys wanted to start watching One Championship, so stay tuned. That's coming really soon with all of this One Championship content, with this upcoming Demetrius Johnson, Adriana Moraes trilogy fight coming up. I'm going to be covering a lot of that, so stay tuned. Please, guys, hit that bell icon if you have not already to be notified when I upload these videos. But getting back to the point, One Championship is 2, UFC is 1, Bellator is 3 globally, and #2 in the US. PFL has been #3 in the US for a while, probably since they were the World Series of Fighting. Of course, they changed their name, and they are innovators. PFL are innovators. They're constantly trying to improve, and that's one thing that scares the UFC, in my opinion, because not only are they showing the miles per hour of the strikes, and they have the refs cam, and they have this point system, they have this season. It's almost looking like a NFL type season with the Super Bowl as the championship, $1 million prize, right? Which in the future could go up to $2 million or $3 million. The sky's the limit, right, for the PFL, as long as money keeps flowing in there. The one thing that the UFC doesn't want is for other promotions to start buying other promotions, because it only creates more competition for them. Now, they were the first to the market, and if I've learned anything in my marketing degree at the University of Houston, it's that being first to market means usually you stay first to market, right? And so we can assume that UFC will almost always be first place in terms of viewership. However, with some of these lackluster cards that the UFC is putting on, we can't just ignore the fact that people might be going elsewhere to watch fights. I know myself, I go and watch one championship cards as much as I can. PFL, Bellator, they're starting to getting my viewership over the UFC sometimes on these fight night cards. So it all just depends on what people want to see. UFC is mainly pay-per-view based for all their big cards. One championship, you get them for free right now on Amazon Prime. So there's give and take to all of them. But again, for what this means for the UFC, PFL is trying to buy a Bellator, which means PFL will go to number 2, which means PFL will get a lot of Bellator fighters. Bellator just had that whole Bellator versus Ryzen card, to where they proved that they were a high level organization, beating out Japanese MMA and Ryzen. And the PFL getting their fighters only means more competition in the PFL, only means more competition outside of the UFC. So yes, the UFC should be worried, even if you think they should not be, because now instead of people, oh, I want to make it to the UFC, oh, I want to make it to the UFC, the PFL, it's different, you know, and they can still make a lot of money going to the PFL, being whether you're an upcoming fighter or whether you just want a quick buck, right? And the reason the PFL kind of separates itself from the UFC is because of this whole point system, because there's an added incentive to getting a finish, and when you're getting a finish, people are focusing more on just winning or losing. They're focusing on, how am I gonna win, how am I gonna lose, what kind of points do I need to get into the playoffs, to get into the championship $1 million prize competition, right? So there's added things that interest the viewer, as long as it's explained well. You know, I know there's been some trouble kind of translating that into the mainstream audience, but them buying a Bellator, it removes some competition, it increases brand awareness, and the PFL is going to continue to rise. Now, the PFL, I'm already starting to watch a lot of their fights. They're already getting promoted by ESPN. I think this is a big move for them, and I think that the reason that they're actually making this move is because of Chatri Sityodtong and one championship, because they're scared that if they don't make this move right now, one championship coming from the eastern side of the world, for those of you who don't know, one championship is pretty much the UFC of the eastern side of the world, and UFC is the UFC of the western side of the world. They're huge on that side of the world. So the PFL is probably worried that if one championship has a huge success, which they will in Denver, Colorado on May 5th, with this trilogy between Demetrius Johnson and Adriano Moraes, and Ra Tang and Stamp Fair Texas fighting, and Tairu Tolo, Mikey Musumeci submission grappling, it's an insanely stacked card, and they're moving to US soil. They're scared that one championship might get their viewers instead of them getting their viewers. That's why they're making this move. And so there's a lot of big player, big pop-up moves going on in the MMA community right now, and I want your thoughts. I want to know what you're watching, what you plan on watching, what you think this means for the United States MMA, for global MMA. What do you think? Who do you think comes out on top in this? To be honest, as a martial artist and respecting the individual martial arts as well as mixed martial arts, I like watching one championship a lot. Of course, I always love watching the UFC as well, and PFL has been on my radar for the past couple of years now, and I've been watching more and more events of that as well. Bellator has still been just a little bit less. I do like watching their fights. It's just sometimes their fights are on the same night as so many other great fights, so it's like it's hard to kind of watch. But guys, please let me know what you guys think about this. I'm bringing you guys news. I want to hear your thoughts. This is Nwadei MMA, again, the rebirth of Nwadei MMA. We're back, we're running daily MMA content and in-depth fight analysis. Let me know your guys' thoughts. As always, y'all stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. Peace.